Okay, that was without a doubt the most startled I've been by wildlife ever in my life.
I've heard people refer to Nevada as boring. Travelers speak of it as the chore on road trips. You just have to get across as quickly as possible on your way to better destinations. But a few years ago, when I passed through these desolate desert valleys, populated only by sagebrush and sand, surrounded by a seemingly limitless supply of stark, stoic mountain ranges, I was immensely intrigued, and ever since I've been eager to explore the emptiness of Nevada.
So as you can see, I am navigating off my phone and not my iPad. Now, I'm not super happy about that. I won't go into it now. I'll talk about it later. I'm still kind of fuming over it a little bit. Fortunately, I'm able to make do with the phone, little screen. For now, I still have a whole lot of gravel road to drive before I even get to the area I'm trying to get to.
The desert is never as flat as you think it's going to be. Today, I need to climb from this valley floor up beyond this rim in order to access the next expanse of desert that lies above.
I'm a little disappointed that it's so cloudy. It's just not giving you the depth of the contours of this land, and it's really not flat at all. And there's valleys, there's ridges, there's plateaus, tables, or various levels that seem really interesting, but it just doesn't render well at this light. Bigger focus of today is looking at some historical sites along the way here, so ultimately it's not that big of a deal.
Apparently, this ranch house was constructed in 2 stages. The initial wood structure dates to around 1890, with the stone addition coming about 20 years later in the early 1900s.
I'd like to say that curve is just, from the distortion of the wide angle, but that's actually the ceiling above is really just swayed that much. I think I'm gonna move on out of here. Looks like there's what's left of an old root cellar here as well. Of course, the top of it is long since gone. That had to have been a lot of work, collecting and building up with all those stones in the 1800s, all by hand. The hope, of course, also is maybe to see some wildlife out here. So I'm keeping my eyes peeled, especially anytime I come over a rise and I've got sort of a view out over the expanse.
So far, however, my day has yet to yield any sightings.
Well, I knew there were some bodies of water out here. I did not expect to see anything quite this vast. That is a huge amount of water out here in the desert. Now, I know some of the water out here, they're reservoirs, they're man-made reservoirs. Some sort of waterway was dammed at some point, in some cases more than 100 years ago. I'm the only one out here. I have not seen a soul since getting off the highway. It's hard to grasp just how much of this there is out there. Just nothing. And then on top of that, to think that people over 100 years ago came out here into this vast emptiness and was like, yeah, I think we'll make a life out here.
I'm trying to get to that abandoned ranch in the distance, but it's a bit of a slow slog via a long, circuitous route. Finally, the structures begin to rise from the horizon. This must have been quite an operation. There are more buildings here than any other abandoned homestead I've ever encountered. I've struggled to find much detailed history of this ranch, but it seems to have been originally settled all the way back in the late 1860s. The natural rugged beauty of the desert scenery is reward enough for being out here, but this is a special treat. It's a privilege to peek into the past existence of the brave and ambitious settlers who forged livelihoods in these lonely locations.
It is incredible how many buildings are out here at this site. It is really cool to see so much of it intact and just so many different types of buildings.
Okay, that was without a doubt the most startled I've been by wildlife ever in my life. I was just walking up around the front side of this little outbuilding, some kind of shop inside. I was looking at details of it, looking for what I might want to get shots of, and then I heard a noise and looked down and it was a rattlesnake. The first thing I did was jerk back, but then the next thing I did was try to get the camera on it. Of course, I had just been using the camera with sort of a dark setting because I was filming something bright, and I had it on manual focus, and so I don't know what I got of that snake, and then he sort of dove under the floorboards there. I've been waiting a little bit to see if he'd come back out, but he's avoiding me now. But little adrenaline rush there. I have literally, for all of the years of poking around the desert, I've never actually seen one myself in real life. I am wearing long pants. Maybe he couldn't have got me, but that was a good sort of reminder and wake-up call that I do need to pay a little more attention to where I'm stepping out here.
I've since found out that, yes, rattlesnakes can bite through denim. However, studies have shown that on average, they'll deliver about 60% less venom biting through jeans compared to a bearskin strike. This was definitely a smaller, younger rattler, and contrary to popular belief, juveniles are not more venomous or deadly than adults. Adult rattlesnakes are actually more dangerous. They're more likely to strike than a juvenile, they'll generally bite harder and deeper, and stay clamped on longer, thereby delivering more venom than a younger snake. Had this fella got me, it wouldn't have been fun, but I probably would have been fine after seeking medical attention. What shook me the most out here was not the fact that I saw a rattlesnake. I know they're out there, and I'm always keeping an eye out. But I was distracted looking up at this old building and not watching my step at all, and this snake gave me no advance notice, only sounding his rattles when I was right on top of him, literally about to step on him. So the noise was sudden and loud and right below me, which was startling in itself, quickly followed by realizing I had been inches away from putting my foot right on him and probably getting bit. I've encountered a wide variety of critters over the years, including bear and cougar, but this was by far the most rattled I've ever been. I had no cell signal at all out here. It was probably 2 hours' drive from the nearest paved highway. I do carry a satellite communicator, and a strike through my jeans by this smaller rattlesnake certainly would have been survivable. Okay, well, I still haven't explored everything here. I will say, I am paying a lot more attention to where I'm stepping now.
This little cabin has some seriously thick walls. There's the outside, pass through, and there's the inside. You can also kind of see with that window, there's the inside wall, and then it's like more than 2 feet. 2.5 feet, I would say.
As I'm checking out this large outbuilding, I get the sense I'm being watched. And sure enough, this American kestrel is staring me down. Also known as the sparrowhawk, I think they may have a nest hidden somewhere up in the rafters. Sorry, little fella, you're not quite as intimidating as your neighbor in the next building over. This is some interesting machinery and relatively new compared to everything else out here. The Adams Road Maintainer No. 61 was introduced in 1930, designed to be pulled behind horses or a tractor for the sake of, well, maintaining roads.
Okay, well, I managed to survive exploring the rest of the ranch without getting bit by a snake or any other wildlife hazards. It definitely seemed worth the sort of little bit of a long drive out on a dead-end road, basically. So now I got to go back to where I came. But, oh, I am really glad I did. This is such a cool old ranch. It is remarkable how, after getting startled by a rattlesnake, suddenly every bit of dry grass rustling in the wind sounds a lot like a little young rattler.
Not too far uphill, I found another oasis, this one also a man-made reservoir, established in 1910 to supply water to that ranch we just visited, now serving as a welcome stopover for migratory waterfowl and other birds, such as these yellow-headed blackbirds squawking at each other in the reeds. long day of desert driving and discoveries of ranches, reservoirs, and reptiles, I'm ready to settle for the evening against a stunning backdrop of Nevada scenery. There's still a lot more of this adventure to come. Be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode, and thank you for watching.